The reigning Miss Texas made a stop here in East Texas today to lead an autism awareness training session specifically for law enforcement.
And as KLTV 7's Lauren Tier reports, her trip to the Rusk County Sheriff's Office was somewhat of a surprise.
Rusk County Sheriff John Wayne Valdez has recognized the need for autism awareness among law enforcement agencies in his area. In an effort to better equip his team and his community, last week he spoke with Autism Speaks to order special autism awareness car stickers for the 162 autistic students in Rusk County schools. Ironically, that same afternoon, he received a text.
And we start talking about this autism class. I thought it was the lady from Autism Speaks, and halfway through this conversation, she said, "Oh, by the way, I'm the reigning Miss Texas."
Securing the crown back in June, Annette Adoyobo uses her platform for autism awareness. The inspiration behind it all, her little brother Andrew, who is a person with autism. Her goal is to bridge the gap of understanding and communication between people with and without autism by offering classes with her advice. It's a goal that brought her in front of this mixed group of law enforcement agencies.
Getting to speak to Sheriff Valdez and hearing the concerns that he had and just the passion that he had to make sure that his officers, his team, his community was equipped with what they needed to address some of the concerns in their county, it was a no-brainer for me to make the drive.
She went over strategies to identify autism and how to approach or even de-escalate situations in the field. Audience members participated in scenarios to practice real-life possibilities.
That's what I love about the work that I get to do, is meeting all kinds of people from all walks of life that all want the same thing, to feel safe, to feel heard, and to feel seen.
Lauren Tier, KLTV 7 News.
At the end of the presentation, Annette was made an honorary Rusk County Sheriff's Deputy. Sheriff Valdez says his entire department will receive the same training in the near future.